This is a different scenario. I do want to be clear on this because whenever we talk about something like this, inevitably what we get is like, you guys clickbait, and why are you even suggesting? This is under the scenario. We're not suggesting trading Dak Prescott. That's not what's here. I mean, Choppy may be about to suggest that. But what this is like Jeff Saturday is talking about a scenario where Dak says, I am done.
Yeah.
And I want to go. And that would honestly be what it would have to take because he has a no trade clause. He would pick where he wants to go.
Which you think he would do and demand and say if they did not go ahead and give him this next extension, make him wait it out.
I don't know that he would demand a trade, but I do think that if he was exposed to the open market, then he would leave. I don't think he's coming. I do feel like that. I feel like if you don't get an extension done, you let him run out, he is leaving. Yeah. That's what I think is happening.
Before we dive into this, who has the right here? Who has more right to have the feeling of, no, you owe us? Do the Cowboys have more of a right now to say to Dak, you maybe had the worst playoff performance of a quarterback and worst playoff loss in the history of our franchise. You couldn't get us to round 2. You need to be swallowing your pride a little bit and not getting $60 million. Or is it Dak on the other side saying, I had a top 3, top 2 MVP season for you, 12 wins again, dealt with a new head coach, new scheme, or different change in the language, top scoring offense. You owe me that $60 million. Which side do you think? I know what the fans are going to say. The fans are going to text, no, Dak should eat it a little bit, and he should swallow his pride because he can't get it done and get this team to the second round, or at least didn't this year. I'm just curious, before we get into this Falcons fun scenario, what you think of that.
I mean, neither one has strong footing today, right? The team doesn't have strong footing to say you need to take a pay cut. And Dak doesn't have strong footing based on this, like the way the season ended. I don't mean
based on the reality of the market. He has all.
Yeah,
of
I'm not talking about the leverage.
Right.
I'm talking about based on the most recent events.
Yeah,
I mean, Denver made Manning take a pay cut the last year. You want to come back? You got to take a pay cut. Like that was it, And like now, Dak is not in that situation. But there's an element to neither one of these two have a whole lot. Like neither one has solid footing with the fan base today.
Right.
It's not Jerry. It's not Mike. It's not Dak. It's not Steven. I mean, it's who is on the most solid footing of anybody on in that team. I couldn't even answer that.
Not Micah.
It's not Micah. Maybe it's CD.
Ferguson.
Ferg. Yeah, that's who it is.
My boy Ferg.
Oh, Ferg.
Him and Haley.
Yeah, look, it's the reality, obviously, of leverage is it's Dak. But I mean, even if you just look at from a perspective of who's earned it more, like without market considerations, it's still Dak. Like in terms of who's got the more, because it's him. It's like I can sit this out. I can ride this out. I'm getting paid regardless. So you owe me, you owe convincing me because I'll find it on the open market next year. I will find this. I'll get paid in the end regardless. This is all about you guys and taking care of things. If you want to make some sort of like moral stand, go ahead. That doesn't harm me like it harms you. You owe me more than I owe you anything.
Okay. What do y'all think? 877-881-1053, chartrec.com, text line. Pepe is a diehard Cowboy fan. What's your answer to that? Oh, wait, you owe me. I don't owe you. Your performance, round 1, are you kidding me? Or Dak, I performed enough with 12 wins. You are going to owe me.
I mean, the sample size is bigger. Yeah, like I said before, he's going to go down as having one of the best regular season records in the history of the franchise, history of the NFL, but you got to perform in the postseason. That's what I want to see. You didn't hire McCarthy just to, get him to the playoffs. You hired to be better than Jason Garrett. You have to do that. You have to perform better in the postseason. Right now, Dak's just a regular season quarterback.
Well said.
Mackenzie's going to have him wearing Eagles gear any day now.
All right, let's get into the scenario with the Falcons that Jeff Saturday suggested.
Okay, so he said the Falcons. So the Falcons have the 8th selection in the draft this year. So let's say
last year for Bijan. Same pick they had last year for Bijan.
So let's say Dak says to Jerry, I want to be traded to Atlanta. All right, Jerry gets on the phone, calls up Arthur Blank, and says, all right, Art, let's build something together.
Which those two,
that's
important to note, those two do not get along.
They don't?
No. Arthur Blank and Jerry Jones, no.
Jerry's a big Lowe's guy.
What?
They went to war over the Goodell extension.
Oh, interesting.
Because Arthur wants to keep Cokes at $1.50.
No, because Jerry tried to dig in, wanted to all right, the way he penalized Ezekiel Elliott, I want to hold his feet to the fire. And Arthur Blank led the charge of like, y'all don't listen to Jerry, and Blank went out. And there's been real tension between those two since.
Okay.
All right, so you tell Arthur, Dak, he's on the market. We want your 8th this year, and we'll take your 1 next year. 2 firsts for Dak is more than fair. Even with...
More than fair.
I mean, that's below market value.
Of course it is, but you have less power, the Cowboys do, because he's requested a trade.
Okay.
Right? So normally Dak should get 3 firsts.
If he's requested a trade, though, there's still the fine. Then our leverage is we hold it from you for a year. You clearly went out now, and we just don't have to grant
Fair.
it.
All right, so 2 1s and a 2. 3 1s. So give him 3 1s. So this year's 1 at 8, and then the next 2 firsts. Fine. You want to do that? Fine. I was just thinking that they weren't going to be able to get fair market value for him because he requested a trade.
What do we have in terms of recent compensation?
I mean, Deshaun Watson is the one, and Watson, which was a worse position to be in potentially. You're talking about trying to trade somebody who's got a
3 1s?
big. He had 3 1s, a 3rd, and a 5th.
There you go.
If you wanted to do that with the 1 this year, the 3 this year, and the 5 this year, and 2 first-rounders, it would be the 8th pick, 79, 144 this year. So 8, 79, 144, and then a first next year and a first the year after.
Woo! Fine. Perfect. Do it. There you go. I don't even care what it is. All I'm worried about is the 8th pick this year. Okay? Because you take that 8th pick this year and you couple it with 24, and you're going to have to add something to this, and then you move up to 1 and take Caleb Williams. Because Chicago does. They don't even know what they want to do.
we don't think.
We don't think.
We don't know.
Think about how much we've talked recently, though, about the idea of, like, you can see, given the Cowboys' attention and spotlight and everything else, how much mental makeup genuinely does matter, and who you are between the ears matters. Like, if you're going to move up, is that the one you want to take, or would you rather take Drake May?
I don't know. He's the greatest prospect we've ever seen.
I just would never.
According to Rick Spielman.
Mahomes light, baby.
We've never seen anything like this. He's better than John Elway.
Specifically here in this building, I've got reservations about Caleb between the ears and his leadership traits. Specifically in this building, I'm not taking Caleb.
Let's put the
Williams.
draft pick aside. Compensation-wise, if that amount came to you, what do you say?
The 3 1s, a 3 and a 5?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you say yes.
Okay.
Because you're getting the 8th pick, so you're going to be able to get, let's just say it's Atlanta, all right? You're going to be able to get a quarterback there at 8.
Okay, and now your other 2 1s down the road, theoretically, they're going to be bottom of the first round, with Atlanta theoretically being good.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Probably.
Maybe they are.
Yeah.
So I don't think Atlanta's roster is as good as the Cowboys. I don't think it is.
Atlanta,
I know people are just falling all over themselves right now for this Atlanta roster.
Right.
That's winning 7 games a year, but
they just have really impressive skill players. Like, if you can put a quarterback like that in there with, Bijan and Algier, and you've got,
Pitts,
Drake London and
yeah.
Pitts, like, they do have really impressive skill players that if they get a quarterback, it all adds up.
okay. So, but even still, but any time you trade a quarterback for 3 1s, theoretically, the next 2 are going to be at the back end of the.
What if I
Right.
tell you? What
What do you mean?
If you trade a quarterback of Dak's caliber,
Sure.
and you get 3 1s,
Yes.
theoretically, you're going to have those next 2 picks at the back end of the draft.
You're picking in the 20s probably.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea of what Atlanta's trying to do. Now, if I say, you obviously say,
Again, this is just a scenario from Jeff Saturday. This is not a current possibility.
no, yeah, this is just under the potential of Dak asking for this and wanting to go to Atlanta specifically. But let's say you have 8 and 24 and all that stuff. And instead of packaging it to go, what if you took 8, 24, all these picks, you try and build out depth, and then you just say, a guy who's a free agent, let me just go sign Kirk Cousins.
If you're who?
If you're Dallas. That instead of using that draft capital on a quarterback, you just say, hey, let's go Cousins. Let's see what we have in Lance. And then.
No, because I have the same thing as Dak, kind
Yeah,
of. I think
out.
Dak is better
Right. But
than
if you had Dak in the 8th pick, isn't that intriguing?
This whole thing to me is about you only do all this stuff to reset with the hope of a better quarterback and
A cheaper one.
and a cheaper one.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. I'm not staying the same at quarterback. I'm either hitting big or missing big. That's what this is about. It's about finding, if Caleb Williams, is Mahomes light. Now, Bobby, you are going to get put on the spot here. And you have to answer this question. You have to, and I want you to answer it seriously.
I always do.
Okay. You do not. You never do. You have to give me a draft haul that you would do this for in this scenario to trade your boy. You got to give me the exact comp of what you would say yes to if you were the Cowboys.
Like under a scenario where
Dak
Dak has already asked for it.
Yes.
So he already wants out. He's made up his mind. He wants out. He's asked for it. So what am I willing to
take back?
I'd probably take that Atlanta.
You would do 3 1s.
3 1s, a third and a fifth if he's asking out. Now, if he's not asking out and you're just saying, let's go. Yeah. I need more than that.
You need more than that if you're just picking up the phone to explore.
Yeah, because I'm not going to just reset the quarterback. If he's already made up his mind, he wants out, then that's a different question where it's like, okay, this is already soured. We're not going to re-sign him. All right, let's go find this.
I was trying to gauge Dak's trade value when they had me on the fan in DC.
Well,
and they were split. I was like, we sound like spoiled brats. I know I'm on the phone with you guys, sounding like spoiled brats, crying about a 12-win team with a quarterback who's going to finish second or third in MVP because y'all would kill for this. And I was like, y'all would kill for this, right? Like, y'all would trade what it would take to get Dak. One host said yes, one host said no. So I was
3 1's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot to give up because usually if you want to get 3 1s, like could you use that 3 1s better and on a quarterback that has more upside, more unknown? It's because you'd be going into year 5th year, 6th year, like year 9. You'd be going to year 9, and there's only been 2 quarterbacks that have gone this far with their original team that have made the Super Bowl, that have not made the Super Bowl and finally made one.
Now let me have a little bit more fun with you, Roberto. Dak Prescott is playing on the Atlanta Falcons with those weapons under Bill Belichick. Their ceiling in the NFC would be, or you would pick them to finish where, roughly?
Well, I mean, they would win the South, like easy. So I don't know. I mean, you get a chance to beat up on the South. You get to run around in that division. Then I don't know. They're probably like about the same, 12-5.
Okay, 12-5 with Atlanta. If Dak goes there, got to take the division into account. What are the Tolos saying, Pepe?
They're all with y'all. Yeah, I think a lot of them want Dak to be gone.
Stop.
Oh, okay.
I never said that.
None of us said that. Thanks for listening to the
Again, this is him requesting.
This is him requesting under Jeff Saturday's scenario. Choppy wants him gone. I have said I want him extended, and we know Bobby wants to live with him. So let's be clear now. Go ahead.
A lot of Tolos are with Jeff Saturday on this one. They're saying some say Dak isn't worth more than one first rounder from the 469. The 601 says if you get 3 firsts, do it now, no doubt. Some want to trade Dak and Mike to Atlanta and go grab Bill Belichick.
Okay. All right.
You don't have to trade Mike. You could have just let him go and sign Bill Belichick, but you didn't want to do that. I think there's zero chance that Dak would ever request a trade.
Why?
Because I think the way he would look at it is just like, I'll run this out. Like I'm close enough to the end. I'll run this out and then I'll go depart on my own and figure out what I want to do on my own. I think him on the open market. I keep saying this, but
You're
genuinely
getting at least 2 1s. At least.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like if I'm Dak, I don't, if I've made up my mind I want out of here, I don't do them any favors and ask for a trade. I just say I'm sitting this out. We'll ride out this last year, and then you can get a 3rd-round comp pick for me. That's what you can get.
Yeah.
Because to me, if I've made up my mind I want to get out of here, then I'm going to make
Derek Carr, right? He's like, I'm not going to help the Raiders.
I'm going to make it hurt if I'm leaving here. And I'm not saying Dak would do that, but I'm saying if I was him, that's what I would do. I would just say I'm going to make this hurt. If you're going to not believe in me, I'm not going to help you out along the way.
Agreed.
I mean, if you had that offer on the table, I don't know how with the 8th pick, I don't know how you say no to it. Because if he asked out.
I think Chicago says no to any offer no matter what. The Bears are not moving out of that.
So you think they are taking Caleb?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not going to give up. I mean,
they're waffling. They're not. They have. You know what I mean? They're waffling. I think they're open for business.
I mean, based on what? We have no idea.
Because they haven't because they haven't said no to Justin Fields. Like they haven't you know what I mean? Like they're bringing. It sounds like they're bringing everybody back.
I mean, we haven't even hit the offseason yet.
I
think they're drafting Caleb.
That's probably where I'd lean today.
Now, if I got the sense and the news comes out that they gave Fields the extension, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Well, even still, you can try to move up to number 2 or 3. Washington's probably not going to trade with you. But you could try to move up to 3. And You take the leftover of May or Jaden Daniels. Or maybe Jaden Daniels falls to you.
And of course, none of this has a % chance of happening because Jerry Jones will never start over with a rookie unknown at his age. Never, ever happen.
But imagine that.
Not happening.
Imagine an owner saying, I'm too old for the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild.
And
That's wild.
But I
And a quarterback.
1,000% believe that to be the case.
Man, I think that if Dak
I'm talking about to make a move up versus like, okay, Dak gets hurt next year, knock on wood, and you end up with the number one pick. I don't think that's an interesting scenario.
But like,
they end up with the number 1 pick. Would he not take a quarterback?
I don't know that he would.
Right?
Like it's literally their only run of Super Bowl history success is doing that. But let's just say Dak leaves at the end of next year. They don't sign him, and he leaves. They're going to sign a Kirk Cousins as opposed to trading up in the draft to get a quarterback.
I believe, no doubt.
Which is the dumbest thing you can do.
Right.
It continues you on the hamster wheel of
It's on Jerry's timeline.
It's on his schedule.
It's on his schedule.
By the way, just to clarify, because people love to clip things around. When you say Dak gets hurt next year, knock on wood, you're saying knock on wood. That doesn't happen.
Yes,
I know. I want to clip because people will clip. I'm
Who in their
setting
right
that up
mind
to
would
clarify.
have thought that he actually meant it?
We've
Bassett.
seen it before.
Bassett
We've
said
seen it
it.
before. Although I will point out, by the way, Will Harriger is on staff here.
G-Bag.
Will
Injuries.
Will Harriger is on staff here with the Cowboys. He's one of their offensive assistants, and he had been with Caleb Williams at USC last year. So if they were to make a trade up, there would be like a scenario where it's like, oh, we've already got somebody on staff who's worked with Caleb Williams and has had success with it.
Yeah, not happening. But Jeff Saturday with the scenario that Dak should ask out for the ATL today.